morning, and welcome to Winnipeg. Now, try and get our Texas so you can see it the best. It doesn't say Texas anywhere here on this mug, at least I don't think it does, but this is the Texas. Now, which I believe is still in dry dock. And as far as I know, it has not pancaked down. Oh, Ron, give that up. You're beating another dead horse. Okay, I found the stacked Carly floats. This morning I went into the manual and I went back to see, where was it? What numbers do we need so I can make them? Because I didn't think I'd made them. I thought if I had made them, they should have been, stuck on here with the other ones, but they weren't. As you can see, they're on little rotating blocks. Okay. And when I saw the manual, I actually remembered doing them. So I thought, well, I've got to have them somewhere. Well, they were in a box over there by the mantle clock. Anyhow, yeah. Well, that's good news because I probably would have lost the morning trying to, glue these together and, spray them and let them dry and everything. Okay. Now, a couple of viewers suggested that why don't you put a little bit of I think it was Jason actually says black panel line accent color on these Carly floats, and that'll sort of bring it out. And I was thinking, yeah, that's right, it would. Now I didn't clear coat these, so I'm gonna have to be careful, that I don't just turn the whole things black, because right now they're not clear coated, and the paint, the XF paint, is very I was going to use the word powdery, but that's not the word. Absorbent, like a blotter. But we'll try it, just a little bit, very carefully, especially in the center, to bring out the grid that is in the way these things were made. Trumpeter did a pretty good job, making them look realistic. Okay, I think we beat this to death too. Now, what's with all this? Okay, a few years ago I took the power supply. You're going to recognize this as the power supply in the computer. So I had an old computer, and I can't remember why it was that I trashed it, but anyway, I saved the power supply. And then what I did was I figured out which wires gave, a certain amount of voltage and stuff like that, in case I wanted to tinker around, which I did. I know enough about electronics to get my fingers burnt, and that's about it. And so I went and this is back when I had a color printer, and I made it says all black is ground, all yellow is 12 volts, all red is 5 volts, and so on and so on. So I knew that I could get a particular voltage in DC if I wanted it, and I used it. I remember I used it in a recording thermometer that I made. I think I talked about this, and that thing was so sensitive that if I put my hand over the air intake, the little needle on the graph that I made, there's a graph that slowly turned, and a pen drew a line, and sort of like one of those things that you see that registers the earthquakes, and and I had rigged up transistors as a switch to make it more sensitive. That worked out really good. I think I remember thinking, whoa, those transistors, what a wonderful invention. Anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, that's what all these wires are. Now, this I won't be using anymore, unless maybe I was to take the cooling fan that's in here and somehow put it into the PVR for this thing here. Is so incredibly noisy. The cooling fan. It's just, I can probably, if I stop talking, I can pretty much hear it way back in the back room. It's craziness. It doesn't have to be that loud. So that might be a good idea. On the other hand, I'm full of good ideas lately, but when it comes to standing up and going and doing it, no, it's not happening. Okay, so where are we going with this? Let's put this down here on the floor. Okay. At Christmas time, somebody gave me some money, and they said, buy yourself something that you've kind of always wanted, but you didn't want to actually spend the money on. So I got this. This is actually a power supply. And what it is it's adjustable up to 30 volts and 10 amps. That's how the most it'll put out. In other words, it'll put out 300 watts, which is pretty good. But it's adjustable, and it reads the voltage, the amperage, and then it calculates the number of watts that the thing is actually whatever you're powering into is actually absorbing. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Anyway, so this is what I got, and I tinkered around with it, last night a little bit instead of working on my model. And it is surprisingly, the readouts are surprisingly accurate when you check them against this. In fact, in the mid-range, they're dead on. There doesn't seem to be any error at all. And at the low range, well, it might be out 1%. It's at least, no, maybe this is out 1% and this is right. Who knows, right? Anyway, digital readouts are, they are a wonderful invention as well. Yeah. Now, I remember seeing these sort of things years ago and being kind of interested in it, but that was back when it was completely analog. And it would have a regular analog ammeter, and a regular voltmeter and so on, and with a needle. Yeah, that was a good invention too for its time. However, by the way, this is my third one of these VO meters. My very first one, maybe I'll superimpose it in the screen here. That what you're looking at right now is my very first one that I got around 1976 from Radio Shack. And the reason I went into the old Radio Shack catalog is because I was wondering, I had thought I had seen these in Radio Shack, and I was wondering what were they selling for back in the day when I was starting to get interested in that kind of stuff. And I couldn't find it in the catalog, so I must have been seeing them somewhere else because I know I'd seen them. Anyway, weren't we building a model? There was this electronics show or something. Let's get at it, and maybe we'll stick these down. Or maybe what I should do is, before I stick this down, I should try a little bit of the black panel line accent color, which is somewhere around here. We'll find it. Okay. Now, it could be that I am making a mistake by not taking out the time to clear coat this first. And yet I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to react on this flat paint. Is it going to just make the whole thing black, or are we actually going to bring out the definition there? Maybe I'll put the macro lens on, then you'll be able to see up close and yell at me all the louder. Okay, well, here goes. Yeah, I think that's going to be all right. Now, actually, I was hoping that I could do all the way around the outside and bring the whole thing up. Now, it does appear that we are going to be darkening the whole thing. So let's just do it and stop whining about it. Okay, and I think that's enough for the top. Let's try and get the sides here now. Oops. Now, when I'm doing this on the deck, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful than I am. That's going to, I don't know, am I making it better or worse here? I think it's better. It does look a little bit blotchy. Let's see what that's going to look like when it's dry. Excuse me, where's my heat gun here? Okay, we've got 180 degrees here. I think that looks better. Okay, while I'm waiting for our stacked Carlies to dry, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the little paintbrush here instead of the applicator that's in the bottle. I think I'll have a little better control going around the outside and not accidentally touching the deck. Yeah, because if this stuff does go on the deck, it's going to run, and I don't know. Maybe I'm courting disaster here. Maybe maybe what I should do is just do the inside and the top, and not try and touch the sides. That might be the best. So I'm going to experiment here, and see what happens. Just move you in just a little bit here. All right. Yeah, I'm finding with these applicators, sometimes you think you're putting it on, really thin, and you're actually putting it on thick. So we'll just put that off to the side for the time being here. All right, and maybe I better put on my other glasses here. These ones. All right. Now the problem is with this is I can't see when the brush gets into the ink. All right. Let's just do the center here and the top. And if it does run down, it'll sort of wick its way around underneath. Yeah, I think I better quit here while the quitting's good. I know the tendency is that you have the feeling you want to come try and get on the sides, but I think what would end up happening is I'd end up touching the planking. I'll put the macro lens on for this one here. Okay, I'm just going to do the remaining ones the same way. Okay, I also put some panel line accent color on the tops of these here. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but it's done. Now, yesterday, I should have been using this Revell Contacta a lot more than I did. In fact, I didn't use it at all yesterday, did I? I wonder, is this going to be plugged up or what? Okay, we want to put just a tiny little droplet. The idea is that it won't wick out into the planking. At least that's the plan. Now, and we have a lot more time to work with. Where's my other tweezers here? And you see, the problem is if I try and set these down with my fingers cover up the holes, and I can't see. Okay, is that in place? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right, I'm going to do this other one the same way, and the two on the other side as well. Okay, all our curly floats are on, at least for this step. I think there's some more I have to go on later. I think some go on top of the turrets, unless I'm thinking of a different ship. Anyway, I did do the tops of these with the panel line color, but now these ones here don't look right. And I'm just thinking that maybe it'd be a good idea to do them as well. Now, I could have had much the same effect by using the number 77 instead of the 66. Okay, let's leave well enough alone here. Well, maybe a little bit right here. Yeah, I think that's all right. Every time I go to put the applicator back in the bottle, I see a bare spot. I don't want it to go running down the sides. Okay, also in step 12 here, we have to put down 4 of these little wire baskets. And some of them need to be straightened. There's 2 go on this side, and there's 2 that go over here on this side. Now, there's no markings on the deck anywhere or on the side that I can see that show exactly where they go. So a person just sort of has to use, you might say, common sense. And yeah, let me move in a bit here. Okay. They're hard to grab onto. They don't want to stand up. No, well, they do like that, I guess. But that's not the way it's supposed to go. As near as I can tell, it's supposed to go with the curved side that is underneath, and that is supposed to be out. So we have to put one like right here. Well, maybe when I get some glue along the edge there, it'll stick there. But that's approximately where that one has to go, and this one has to go very gently here. They bend so easily. Whoops. I'm trying not to squeeze it. Okay, so this one actually should be straightened out a little bit first. But it is supposed to go. There's a lot of photo etch glinting there. I'm glad it's on the underside. Okay, something like that. Now, did I mention that there are two sizes of these? And according to the manual, the PE1s go here, E1s go here, and the E2s go somewhere else. The E2s are actually smaller. I can't see how else this is supposed to go. This just doesn't look right sticking out like that, but maybe that's the way it was. Maybe I should check and see if I can find a photograph of the real deck and see what it looked like right here. If this thing is, visible. Maybe that aerial view that somebody sent us. Yeah, that might show this if we zoom in on it. Let's give that a whirl here. I'm going to take a break and do some editing anyway. Okay, I've got them more or less straightened out here. And this is where they go. We saw it in the photo. And if I could just hold it like that, and then maybe put a little bit of CA along there where it almost wants to stay there by itself, but it's not really tight up against the splinter rail. I wonder if I could kind of tuck it in underneath that lip that's sort of hanging over. Would that be possible, or am I just going to end up breaking it, trying to wedge it in? I think we just hold it like that, and then I've got some CA. I think it's CA thin here. Just sort of put it on. It's probably a better way to do this, but there, I got it. Now, is that going to want to stay there? Yes. How about this one? Does that look about centered? I think so. I should be using the macro lens, shouldn't I? Yeah, there. I actually saw it go in. Do a little over here. No use overdoing it. Okay. Now, just hold that like nice and still for a moment. There. Maybe I'll wait a little bit and then I'll just sort of reinforce it. And then I'm going to do these other two that are on the other side here the same way. It's kind of awkward to get the kinks out of these things if you think you're pulling it out one way and you find out you're pushing it in another. Oh, by the way, I guess it's pretty obvious. I've turned the Iowa around. I was finding it just too awkward to try and reach over and pull back. Maybe I should move in a bit here. Okay, that's better. Alright, now let's get that right up against underneath the lip. And my applicator here. Yeah, I think that's going to be alright. Just hold it steady. Now, this one has to go. Sorry about my unmanicured fingers here. I think that's supposed to go right in there like that. And I saw it running along, but I don't know if it ran in the right place. Okay, just hold it for a few seconds. It shouldn't take too long. Alright, then I'm going to reinforce that. Okay, how does this look now? Alright, we got 1:28 in the afternoon. I'm going to call this episode a day. And thanks for watching, everybody. And all being well, we'll be seeing you tomorrow.